Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Communicator Accelerator Show. I'm Chad Eves. This is the companion webcast to the Communicator Accelerator newsletter that you can find at communicatoraccelerator.com. The first topic we're going to talk about today is when people overload what they're doing and the scope of that, the excellence, and often more likely the mediocrity that is the result of doing this. Yeah, a lot of times people will take on too much, and it might be from a work context, it might be as a volunteer, or some mixture of the two, and even other obligations. And they don't do a real good job, not only of balancing their different levels of commitment, but also of how they interact with other people, how they advance the purpose, whether it's, getting stuff done and achieving those desired outcomes at work, desired outcomes with a volunteer organization they might be a member of. And one of the biggest challenges is that they often are not aware of this. Now, there's always exceptions to it. There's the Ryan Seacrest out there and people like that, but also even someone in those positions, most of the time they're not doing all the work by themselves. They have other people who are doing work for them, with them, and most of the people that we will interact with in our lives are in this kind of situation are the people who they keep on taking up more. And what I'm talking about is people's ability to really focus in, the responsibility or irresponsibility that they demonstrate in these different situations. Most people in general, we don't multitask. What we do is we switch between tasks very quickly, and some people are better at that than others. Some can do it, effectively and efficiently, but most people, not. And then they'll get being busy confused with being productive, and not realizing or not caring that they're sucking at it. Um, And, if we come back to the communication aspect of this behavior, what is it saying? What does it say to people? It's a couple different things. Number one, that people that do this, they lack the maturity to gauge what their availability is, what their commitments are, what their capabilities are in those situations. And that's a big red flag, because this is also a really selfish behavior, uh, where it impacts other people. When something's not done well, or people are missing, doing their obligations, deadlines, they're either that stuff doesn't get done, or it gets pushed on to somebody else, and that is really a gross disrespect for other people involved in those efforts. And too many times when I've spoken with people in these situations, it comes down to like, oh, well, I'm so busy and I'm doing this, this, and that. Well, maybe you shouldn't be doing this, this, and that. Maybe you should just be doing this and that, and kick the other one loose, because you're probably doing nothing well. And you're really demonstrating that you don't care about the other people involved, which will at some point bring the question about of why should they care about you. And there is a maxim that, how you do anything is how you do everything, and there is a lot of credibility to this, because there are some people that will argue, "Oh, I don't do this, put as much time into this as I do at work," or something like that. And where people mess this up, especially from a communication perspective, because it is also what we say, what we do, in the other forms of communication that we send out to people, is they're saying they're not good at what they do. Because someone that is underperforming in one area, they're probably underperforming in everything else. Um, so it can, in a lot of times, this falls into people in leadership roles or other peers, as far as holding people like that accountable. Because this is one of the problems, especially in today's workplace and society in general, is no one wants to hold someone accountable, and that person's allowed to persist, even think that they're doing a good job, when in reality they're performing very poorly, and it's just being tolerated and allowed to continue on and on and on. And a critical part of that is for people who are in leadership roles is to set the expectation of what is expected, when something is expected to be done, and then to hold people accountable to those standards. But there's very obvious standards that usually come with the role, and when those aren't being performed, conversation really needs to be had. Either that person needs to, maybe they don't realize they're overcommitted and they need to cut back, or for the good of that activity, of that organization, that company, they need to have the responsibilities pulled back partially or in totality. So it's one of those things to keep in mind when we're working with people, when we're volunteering with people, is people who are consistently not doing a good job, not doing what they're supposed to be doing, and their excuses, they're so busy doing other stuff. Something needs to come off their plate, and maybe it's what they're doing with your organization, whether that be at work, volunteer, or elsewhere. Now, another event that we do have coming up, I want to share next, is we have the Elite Communicator briefing that is going to take place May 14th, this upcoming Wednesday at 12 o'clock Eastern. And this is a quarterly briefing that is provided to people who are Elite Communicator subscribers to CommunicatorAccelerator.com. You can go there and see the details on that. If you're currently a subscriber to the newsletter, you can upgrade that. There'll be a link in the show notes here that will go to a help page on Substack where the newsletter is hosted. That'll explain how to do that and how to walk through that. But this is something that we're doing just for people who have access to the Elite Communicator program. And those people also get an hour of executive coaching with that subscription. And we do these, like I said, once a quarter. The topic this coming Wednesday is going to be communication in uncertain times. And there'll be discussion and also some instruction offering some guides and tips on what do you do, when the economy is uncertain or there's other things going on in your organization that require leadership and communication, and also for people who are in non-leadership roles, what they can do in those different situations. So this is pretty timely. There's a lot of dynamic activity going on in the workplace, in the economy right now. So if you're interested in getting these exclusive briefs, go ahead and join at that the Elite Communicator level, and you will find that on the login page or in the subscribe. You can also look at that help doc to see that as well. Now, some of the posts that have been going up over the past week or so has been focusing on introductions. So check that out if you're interested in that. This is in the membership area. There's so much more that goes into being effective and impactful when you introduce yourself. Because a lot of people think it's just, oh, hi, I'm so-and-so, this is what I do. There's far, far more to that. We talk about elements that impact us, such as being judged, the risks associated, how to approach them as projects, different aspects of confidence building. And it's one of those situations where people kind of go in not really knowing what they don't know and potentially doing a lot more damage. So that has been a series that we're producing right now. We're penning up videos and written content on that topic. We'll be doing that probably through next week as well. There's some more content that we've got coming up on that. The second topic we're going to talk about today is connecting with the right audience. Now, when you're connected with an audience, just like when you're doing introductions, like you're going to an event or a conference, a networking event, whatever it might be, ideally we want to connect with people that can help you achieve your desired outcome, whatever that might be. And you want to be in a situation where there's a reasonably high chance that these are people that can help you advance for that. One thing to do is your research, your networking, seeing who's going to be there, checking with your connections, the people that who do you know that can do this or that. Doing the homework, doing the pre-work is really important. You can look it up on LinkedIn is a great resource. You could do research on AI if you have an attendee list, which some events will release those prior to them occurring. So you get an idea of who do you need to meet, who do you need to talk to. And the more you do that ahead of time, the more fruitful is going to be interacting with people, whether it's at a networking event, making those initial introductions, um, whatever it might be. You're always looking for the person that's going to help you achieve that desired outcome. So keep that in mind. Now, sometimes you're going to fly blind. You might not be able to do that in preparation. That information might not be available. And do the best that you can to collect all the information that will help you be successful. So, it might be like, what type of association is it affiliated with what you're trying to do? Um, but also be prepared that you sometimes just have to go in there and meet people, and you want to kind of minimize the risk of failure and misspent effort is another aspect of it. And in a situation where you really have minimal information, the best thing probably is to do is to make sure that organization, that event is affiliated with what you're trying to do and the resources that you need to achieve those desired outcomes. But also, are there enough people that you can kind of compensate for lack of knowledge by shooting the numbers? Meaning, the more people that are at an event, or the more likelihood you are to find someone that might be of value to connect with. Uh, just as a quick example, my wife and I were shopping at Nordstrom's a couple weeks ago. They didn't have anything that we were looking for at this one Nordstrom. They had it at another one. The first one, the traffic's okay. It doesn't really have a lot of energy. But the second one, a lot of energy, a lot of people flowing through the store, going up and down the escalators. There's much different layout, much different vibe, and a lot larger inventory. So kind of think of that when you're looking at going to network and meet people, is where is most likely to have the best inventory of connections that you can meet and hopefully get some contribution towards achieving your desired outcome, while also looking for opportunities to meet people in case you do need something further down the road, and also be open to assisting other people within reason. But always look at what is that inventory of people at those events, if you got kind of minimal information, and go with the one that's larger usually than trying to fill out the room and meet as many people as you can. We're coming up into graduation time here in the United States for college in probably beginning this month and into the early part of June for the spring semester. And Communicator Accelerator.com makes a great gift for college graduates that are coming up. One of the top deficiencies that employers are always citing with new graduates, it's communication. And it's always one of the top soft skills that are in demand in the workplace is communication. So if you know someone that's going in, to their first job after college, consider you order a subscription as a gift on that login page, or someone that's changing jobs, or they're looking to get better at that skill set. Next week, we'll be doing more content on the introductions, and also we will be posting the Achievement Alphabet post in addition to other content. And then, of course, on Wednesday, we'll be having that Elite Communicator Executive Brief.